A heated hearing on Capitol Hill with Democrats ramping up subpoena threats over a whistleblower's claims that the White House overturned 25 security clearance denials. Doug McKelway is live in Washington. So, Doug, is Jared Kushner actually named in this whistleblower complaint?
No, he is not among the 25 whistleblowers that Tricia Newbold claims were granted security clearances despite all these red flags. Reuters, however, is reporting that he, Jared Kushner, and Ivanka Trump were given clearances against the advice to do so. The whistleblower says that the red flags among the 25 applicants included foreign influence, conflicts of interest, financial problems, drug use, and criminal conduct. The chairman of the House Oversight Committee felt it was a matter of some urgency.
She came forward because the system at the White House is so dysfunctional that she believes that Congress needs to intervene. In other words, she's crying out. She's begging us to do something.
The ranking member of the same committee is deeply suspicious of all this.
First a Saturday deposition. Then yesterday, a press release after talking to just one witness where you handpick a few parts of her testimony, and now today. I've been on this committee 10 years. I've never seen anything like this.
Oh, please.
Never seen anything like this.
Last night, Kushner defended himself against this security clearance accusation.
Over the last 2 years that I've been here, I've been accused of all different types of things, and all of those things have turned out to be false.
Kushner added that he has complied with all investigations and that media reports about him often prove to be untrue.
A number of times that CNN wrote things about me that I would then call and say, but that's not true. They would say, well, we have a source. I mean, it is what it is.
And Kushner also said that the Office of Government Ethics gave him direction on what to divest and what rules to follow. Dana?
Indeed, and also the White House press secretary weighed in on this.
Yeah, and like ranking member Jim Jordan, she is deeply skeptical of the Democrats' motives here. Here's what she said.
What I can tell you is that Democrats are acting in bad faith throughout this process. They're asking for personal, confidential information that they know they have absolutely no right to see.
The House Oversight Committee is set to meet again tomorrow on Wednesday to discuss potential subpoenas. We'll be watching for that, Dana.
We will indeed, with your help, of course. Doug McKelway, thank you.
My pleasure.
Continue talking about health care for a moment. Let's bring in Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida. No doubt somebody who understands a lot about health care and the politics of it, and more importantly, perhaps the substance of it. Senator Scott, where do you see this right now? Is President Trump looking to 2020 just a nod to reality that nothing could get done in the next 2 years in Congress?
Well, let's think about it. It has to get through Nancy Pelosi. The Democrats want to ruin health care. They want Medicare for all. They want to ruin, first off, Medicare, and second, kill everybody's private insurance. What everybody ought to focus on is what everybody talks about and doesn't do. Get the costs down. I mean, why don't we just focus on costs? That's what, remember Obamacare was supposed to drive the average premium for a family down by $2,500? It did the opposite. Premiums are up, co-payments are up, deductibles are up. So I did a bill last Friday that said you're not going to be able to charge, if you're a drug company, you can't charge Americans more than you charge Europeans. That's pretty basic. When you go to a pharmacy, they should tell you what's going to cost you to pay out of pocket.
But even with that would have to go through the Congress as well. So we just saw these numbers from Gallup today. These probably won't surprise you, but the anxiety about health care is quite high. Estimated last year that Americans borrowed $88 billion. 15 million were deferred purchasing for drugs, and 45% said a major health event could lead to bankruptcy for them. So that anxiety is really high. And take a listen to what Nancy Pelosi said earlier today.
When the president has instructed his Department of Justice to just eliminate the Affordable Care Act, them's fighting words. I mean, them's fighting words. Martin Luther King said, of all the inequalities, the one that is the most inhumane is the inequality in access to health care because people can die. And the president seems oblivious to that.
So I guess they're fighting words, but meanwhile, Americans are just so frustrated because nothing seems to be able to get done.
Well, the inequality is when you know you should be able to get good health care at a reasonable price, what the Democrats keep doing is causing the price to go up. Why don't we focus on doing the things that's actually going to do something about the cost of health care? That's our problem. If what Democrats always do is, oh, it's all about access, well, what that has done is you can't afford it now. I ran the largest hospital company in the country. My bill does exactly what I did in the business. I told the pharmaceutical companies when I was in business, you can't charge Americans more than you charge Europeans. And that's what we did. It's pretty basic. I think both Democrats and Republicans agree we've got to reduce drug prices. Let's do it.
There might be some bipartisan agreement on that, indeed, although, of course, the devil's in the details. And I did want to ask you about one other thing, because you understand this issue very well. This is about that disaster aid vote that happened yesterday, because we have a lot of people, a lot of American citizens who are needing some help after these natural disasters. President Trump tweeting this about Puerto Rico, saying Puerto Rico got $91 billion for the hurricane, more money than has ever been gotten for a hurricane before, and all their local politicians do is complain and ask for more money. And listen to Senator Patrick Leahy, one of your colleagues, in response.
I've urged Senate Republicans to take up and pass the House bill, H.R. 268, since the House first passed it in January. But the Republican leadership has refused. We cannot advance a bill that picks and chooses among Americans and says some Americans are lesser than others.
Senator, do you think that there's enough money in this bill for Puerto Rico to rebuild?
Well, they're all steps. I mean, it's what's shameful. Chuck Schumer killed a bill that would have $600 million in food nutrition supplement money for Puerto Rico. It's the first thing I talked about on the Senate floor after I became a senator. He killed that yesterday. Why don't we do what we know we can get done, that the president will sign, and then if we need to do more, let's keep doing more. But what they're doing, what the Democrats are doing, is you're playing politics. Now think about this for a second. After Hurricane Maria, did Chuck Schumer go to Puerto Rico 9 times? No, I did, and listened to them. What do they need? Did he open up relief centers in New York? No, I opened those up in Florida. So he says he cares about Puerto Rico, but if you look at his actions, he just stopped funding $600 million for Puerto Rico that they need.
So where do you think this goes from here? Because there's Americans all across the country. That includes, of course, all the citizens in Puerto Rico who need help. Where does this bill go from here?
I'm very disappointed in Chuck Schumer that he's killing disaster relief. We need it in Florida, we need it in Georgia, we need it in South Carolina, we need it in North Carolina, and we need it in the Midwest now,
of course,
with the funding we have, and California. And so Chuck Schumer is just playing politics with this.
All right. Well, we'll see if you can kick him into gear up there in Washington, D.C. Senator Rick Scott of Florida, thank you.
I wanted to delay it myself. I want to put it after the election because we don't have the House. So even though the health care is good, really good, it's much better than when the plan comes out, which we'll be showing you at the appropriate time. It's much better than Obamacare. So when the plan comes out, you'll see it. It's possible the Democrats would want to do it.
President Trump this afternoon explaining why he's decided to delay his plan to replace Obamacare until after 2020 election. Here is Minority Leader Chuck Schumer firing back.
He promises, re-elect me, and maybe you can take a peek at my backup plan after that, which they don't have. What a ruse. What a shame. What a disgrace.
Joining us now is Republican Tom Reed of the House Subcommittee on Health. So, Congressman, isn't it important for Republicans to have some plan to replace Obamacare before the election?
Well, obviously, I agree with that. We need to have a proposal, and this is what gives us an opportunity, is now we have some time to roll this out and different ideas to vet it with the American people, because Democrats are standing with Obamacare. We're going to have to stand with a different proposal.
So, Congressman, is there a component, this is Deirdre, that you think that the Republicans should put forward to reassure people, whether it's about pre-existing conditions or any one of the numerous moving parts that are important to people? If you were to pick, if you were advising the president on just saying, okay, but just leak this one detail, what would it be?
Well, it obviously would be pre-existing condition, and that is something where Republicans and Democrats, and this is what I told folks in the committee room, is we should all be coming together to stand on that principle that regardless of what we do in health care going forward, pre-existing condition reform will be a cornerstone of the legislation for the foreseeable future, forever in America's future. And that to me is the marker that needs to be made and has been made by the president as well as us in the Republican Party now.
Congressman John Layfield here. Leading up to the last general election, all the Republicans, a lot of your colleagues were saying we're going to repeal and replace on day one. And all of a sudden, President Trump gets elected. It's a very big surprise to most people. And you are your Republican colleagues, at least, were like the dog that caught the car. You had absolutely no clue. So all that banter was just, there was nothing behind it. Do you guys have any type of plan? And if you don't, what has taken you so long, and why are you now asking for more time to go to the next general election?
Well, I think that's fair criticism, and I share your frustration and shared that with our folks. And this is what partisan politics looks like. This is where politics of the extremes looks like, where you don't put solutions for the American people and join together Democrats, Republicans. You know, I lead efforts here in Washington, D.C. to bring Democrats, Republicans together. And how we're going to fix health care is by doing it the American way. Democrats, Republicans joining hands, jumping together. That is the solution that will work. And so to blame Democrats, to blame Republicans, I think the American people are sick and tired of it. And I stand with the silent majority saying, regardless of party, Democrat, Republican, solve the health care problem, because Obamacare didn't do it, and the Republican proposal needs now to put an idea on the table.
Congressman, it's Carol Roth. Obviously, it's very important for you to have a plan in place, but the other component is to have a plan to keep the Senate and to capture the House, because obviously if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard to get a Republican plan through. So what are you guys doing on that front? Because it seems like the Democrats are really good at the grassroots organizing. It seems like they're out in front right now. What's happening on the Republican side of the equation?
I think that's where we owe it to the American people to put our ideas forward. And if we do that, and we also show that we can compromise and we can come together, that is what I think that is going to be a winning majority. As you point out, the Democratic majority was controlled by the moderates coming through the election process. I think at the end of the day, the Democratic Party has engaged in this herbal Tea Party. We went kind of through the Tea Party of 2010. They're going through their own division where the extremism on the left is overtaking their party. That gives us an opportunity as Republicans and pragmatic Republicans to show that we can govern for the people back home, and that's who the people will reward politically.
Congressman, it's Robert Wolf. As you know, I'm a staunch Democrat, but I live in the same state as you.
Appreciate it.
It feels like, to me, it's very straightforward that we should all just agree that health care is a right. Do you think health care is a right in the wealthiest country in the world?
I think we can provide that right, but we have to do it in a way that's going to be accessible and affordable, right, Robert? I mean, you cannot guarantee a right and then say, well, there's no way you're going to have it covered because it's not going to be cost effective or affordable for the average Joe. And I'll tell you, that's the problem. And if you want to give the government control of your health care in order to guarantee that right and have government in control of that, I think that's a bridge too far in America. We should be doing something better than that.
So as a follow-up to that, what would be the three things that you think could give the right health care to our country that's affordable and most effective?
Yeah, what I would do is, obviously, pre-existing condition has to be a reform. That's the law of the land. But then we have to align the incentives. We could start in Medicaid and Medicare, the government programs, and say we're going to incentivize cost behavior that driving healthcare costs down, behavior that where people take their medicine and get rewarded for doing that. Doctors prescribing drugs that reward value-based contracting, where the outcome is a positive outcome. They get financially rewarded. Use the power of the purse to drive these healthcare costs down. Right now, the incentives are all perverse, and you have a world that rewards higher cost.
Okay. Congressman, so very quickly, because we got some breaking news, Medicare Advantage, where you do put the patient more in charge of his own finance and they get to choose which hospital or which drug to use, they get the savings themselves. That's sort of the model that you would like to expand in Obamacare?
Absolutely. What you're talking about is empowering patients and doctors with the decision of health care and reward good behavior that's driving health care costs down.
Congressman Tom Reed, always a pleasure to have you here, Congressman. Please come back and see us again. Thank you very much.
Will do.